Let me start off with a personal favorite, German Pfeffernusse. I make them every year at holiday time. And what makes a cake cookie is that it has more of a batter than a dough, and they bake up like soft little cakes. Part of the softness from German Pfeffernusse cookies, which are a spice cookie, comes from the honey, 6 tablespoons, which by volume is 3 ounces. In addition to the honey, I use 2 other sugars, granulated and dark brown sugar. I add 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar, and a 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. I've melted off a 1/4 cup of butter, and it's unsalted butter. And now I'll add an egg and an egg yolk. I'll mix this together first. There we go. Now I'm ready for the dry ingredients. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then it's time for the spices. And this is really what sets Pfeffernusse cookies apart. Pfeffer translates from German to mean pepper. And believe it or not, pepper is one of the key ingredients. But it's not just 1 or 2 spices. I use 6 spices, 1/2 teaspoon of each. Those spices include cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, allspice, black pepper, and the signature flavor in Pfeffernusse, in addition to the black pepper, aniseed. So I'll start first with the ground cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon, and I just love that sort of lemon pepper aroma of it. I've got my ground allspice, ground cinnamon, which you would expect, the clove, and lastly, those 2 distinctive spices, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and it really does lend a heat to the Pfeffernusse cookies. And then ground aniseed, which lends a licorice note to the cookies. But you know, it's such a subtle licorice note. It's not strong like fennel seed at all. It almost has a sweet aroma to it. I'll sift this over top of my sugar egg mixture. And you stir this just until it comes together. Whenever I bake cookies, I line my baking trays with parchment paper. And then for cake cookies, to get that precise round shape, you do want to use an ice cream scoop. After you have your portion, to get a smooth surface to your Pfeffernusse, you want to just roll them between the palms of your hands, just a little bit. Depending on the size of your scoop, you get about 3½ dozen of these cookies. They only take 14 to 16 minutes in a 325 oven. And let me tell you, the kitchen smells fantastic. Oh, these are just so sweet. Look at that beautiful size, and that has that cake cookie look, just fluffy and light. And the finishing touch for Pfeffernusse cookies is to roll them in icing sugar. And you do this after they've cooled, because if still warm, the icing sugar would actually melt on them. And aren't they just gorgeous? And I will confess, I think I make them every year because they are also not just my favorite, but my dad's favorite. Well, I can pack some of these away for later, but of course, I have to sneak just one. Just love that softness. And of course, it's all about the spices.